2003. The last 3 years had both worn Jude down and sharpened her. She hadn't known how terrifying life could be until the first time she handed Zach and Mia car keys and watched them drive away. From that moment on, she'd begun to be afraid for her kids. Everything scared her. Rain, wind, snow, darkness, loud music, other drivers, too many kids in a car. She'd issued her kids cell phones and instituted rules, curfews, accountability, honesty. She paced when they were minutes late and didn't breathe easily until they were safely in bed. She thought that was the worst of it, the freedom that came with a driver's license. But now she knew better. It had all been a prelude to this, senior year of high school. The semester had just begun, and already it was a pressure cooker, a Rubik's Cube of deadlines and paperwork. College loomed on the horizon like a nuclear cloud, tainting every breath of air. Years of driving back and forth to sporting events, practices, play rehearsals, and performances was nothing compared with this. On the wall above her desk, she had 2 giant calendars. One marked Zach, and the other Mia. Every college deadline was written in red ink. Every test date was in bold-faced type. Jude had spent years studying admissions statistics and reading about the various universities, gauging which would be best for her kids. Getting into college would be a cakewalk for Zach. He had entered senior year with a 3.96 GPA and a perfect SAT score. He could go almost anywhere he wanted. Mia was a different story. Her grades were good, but not great. Same with her SAT. Even so, she had set her heart on the prestigious University of Southern California Drama School. Jude had begun to lose sleep about it all. She lay in bed at night, going through admission statistics and criteria in her head until she felt sick. She was constantly figuring out how to make her daughter's dream come true. It wasn't easy to get one kid into an ultra-competitive school, and Jude needed to get 2 in. The twins had to go to college together. Any other outcome was unthinkable. Mia needed her brother beside her. And now, as if all that pressure weren't bad enough, the word she'd been dreading had just been said aloud. Party. Jude drew in a deep and steadying breath. She was seated at the dinner table, with her family gathered around her. It was a Friday night in early October. The sky was the color of bruised plums. "Well," Zach said from his place at the table, "can we go or not? Molly and Tim are letting Bryson go." Mia was beside her brother. Her blonde hair had been braided wet and dried into crimpy zigzags. In the past 3 years, she had blossomed into a true beauty, with flawless skin and a smile that was marquee bright. Her friendship with Lexi had stayed as true as magnetic north, and it had given Mia a new confidence. Her daughter still wasn't brave or extremely social, but she was happy, and that meant the world to Jude. "What about you, Mia? Do you want to go to this party?" Mia shrugged. "Zach wants to go." It was the answer Jude had expected. They were a pair, these two, in every way. Where one went, the other followed. It had been that way from the moment of their birth and probably before. One could hardly breathe without the other. "Did you hear that, Miles?" Jude said. "The kids want to go to a party at Kevin Eisner's house." "Is there a problem with that?" Miles asked, pouring hollandaise sauce on his grilled asparagus. "The Eisners are in Paris, if I'm not mistaken," Jude said, seeing the twins flinch in unison. "Small island," she reminded them.
"Kevin's aunt is there, though," Zach said. "It's not like no adult is around." "Totally," Mia added, nodding. Jude sat back. She'd known this moment was coming, of course. She'd been a teenager herself, and senior year was the holy grail of teenhood. So she knew what it meant when seniors wanted to party. She'd had endless conversations with the kids about alcohol, told them repeatedly how dangerous it could be. And they swore not to be interested in drinking, but she wasn't a fool. Neither was she the kind of woman who pretended her children were perfect. What mattered to her was protecting them from the risks associated with adolescence, even those of their own making. She could say no, but they might defy her, and wouldn't they be more in danger then? "I'll call Kevin's aunt," she said slowly. "Make sure an adult is supervising the party." "Oh my God," Mia whined. "Way to totally humiliate us. We're not children." "Really, Mom," Zach said. "You know you can trust us. I'd never drink and drive." "I'd prefer it if you'd promise never to drink." He looked at her. "I might drink one beer. It won't kill me. You want me to lie to you? I thought that wasn't how we rolled in this family." Her own words thrown back at her, and with deadly accuracy. The price for honesty with your kids was that often you learned what you'd rather not. The way Jude saw it, there were two parenting choices. Ask for honesty and try to roll with unwanted truths, or stick your head in the sand and be lied to. Zach's honesty was a reason to trust him, she said in a forceful enough voice to end the conversation. The rest of the meal passed quickly. As soon as they cleared the table, the kids put the dishes in the dishwasher and then ran upstairs. Jude knew they were getting ready for the party. They assumed victory. She'd seen it in their eyes. "I don't know," she said to Miles. They stood side by side at the picture window, staring out at the darkening night. The sound had turned graphite, and the sky was a deep bronze color. "How do we stop them from drinking and keep them safe?" "Chaining them to a wall would work. Too bad the state frowns on that."
Very funny. She looked up at him. We can't stop them from drinking, you know that. If not tonight, then some night they'll get drunk. That's just the way it is. So what do we do to protect them? Maybe we should have a party here. We could take the kids' keys and make sure everyone stayed safe. We could make sure they don't drink too much. No. We'd be risking everything we own. Not to mention, if someone got hurt, we'd be responsible. And you know teenagers, they're like bacteria. They multiply too fast to see, and you can't keep them in your sights. I can't believe you'd even suggest it. Jude knew he was right, but it didn't help. Do you remember high school? Because I sure do. Keggers at Morrow Farm were a weekly occurrence, and we drove home. You have to trust them, Jude. Let them start making some decisions. Mia's smart, and she sure as hell isn't a party girl. And Zach would never let anything bad happen to her. You know that. I guess. Jude nodded, thinking it all through for the 1,000th time. There seemed to her to be no good answer, no indisputably right way to go. For the rest of the evening, Jude wrestled with the question of how to be the best parent in the situation. She was still trying to figure it out at 9 o'clock when the kids came running down the stairs. "Well," Zach said. She looked at her kids. Zach, so tall and handsome and steady in his low-rise jeans and striped American Eagle sweatshirt, and Mia in tattered blue jean capris, white t-shirt, and blue silk men's tie, nodded off to the side. She had her hair drawn back in a ponytail that gysered at the top of her head. She'd come out of her shell since meeting Lexi, but she was still fragile, a little needy. She could get her heart broken so easily, could make the wrong decision because she was afraid of being laughed at. They were good kids, honest kids who cared about their futures. They'd never given Jude any reason to mistrust them. "Madre," Zach said, smiling, reaching for her hand. "Come on, you know you can trust us." Jude knew he was manipulating her, using her love to his advantage, but she was helpless to resist. She loved them both so much, and she wanted them to be happy. "I don't know." Mia rolled her eyes. "This is like the witch trials. Can we go or not?" "We said we won't drink," Zach said.
Miles came up beside Jude, slipped an arm around her waist. "We can count on your word, then." Zach's face split into a huge smile. "Absolutely!" "Your curfew is midnight," Jude said. "Midnight?" Zach said. "That's so lame. Like we're middle schoolers. Come on, Mom. Dad?" Miles said midnight at the same time Jude said 1 o'clock. Zach and Mia surged at her, drew her into a fierce hug. "Stay safe," Jude said nervously. If there's any trouble, call me. I mean it. If you drink, and you shouldn't, but if you do, call home. Your dad and I will pick you up and any of your friends. I mean it. No questions asked, no getting in trouble. I promise. Okay? We know, Mia said. You've told us for years. And with that, they were off, running for the sporty white Mustang she and Miles had bought for them last year. You should have held firm at midnight, Miles said when the car door slammed shut. I know, she said. It was so easy for him. When Miles said no, they gave up. When she said no, they tried harder, boring through her resolve like bull weevils through corn, until there was nothing left between them and what they wanted. Miles frowned as the red taillights of Zach's car disappeared into the darkness. Senior year isn't going to be easy. No, Jude said. Already she regretted the decision to let them go. There were so many things that could go wrong.
On a warm autumn night like this, Amore was packed with customers. Summer was ending, and everyone, locals and tourists alike, knew the cold season was moving their way. Lexi had worked part-time at this ice cream shop since sophomore year. Every penny she earned went into her college fund. She and her boss, Mrs. Salter, a 60-year-old widow with steel gray hair and a penchant for layering beaded necklaces, worked the counter in perfect synchronicity, one ringing sales while the other scooped ice cream. Tonight, even though the place was busy, Lexi kept watching the clock. The party at the Eisner's place started at 9, and Mia and Zach were picking her up. Zach. He was the only fly in the ointment of her new life. In the past 3 years, Lexi had found a place where she belonged. Aunt Eva cared for her deeply. It was obvious, even though the woman wasn't demonstrative. Mia had become Lexi's other half, her sister. They were inseparable. And the Faradays had welcomed Lexi into their family with open arms, never judging her. Jude had become like a mother to her, so much so that on Mother's Day, Lexi always bought 2 cards, one for Eva and one for Jude. She always wrote thanks across the white space. Only Zach held back. He didn't like Lexi. That was all there was to it. He never stayed in a room alone with her longer than was absolutely necessary, and he hardly ever spoke to her. When he did say something to her, he looked away, as if he couldn't stand making eye contact. Lexi didn't know what she'd done to offend him, and no amount of reparations had helped. The worst part was that it hurt her feelings every time. Every time he looked away or walked away, she felt a little pinch of loss. But it was a good thing. That's what she told herself. It was good that he didn't like her because she liked him too much. And one thing she knew for sure, had known from the beginning, Zach Faraday was off limits. At just past 9, she heard the Mustang drive up outside. She whipped off her multicolored apron and ran to the employee's bathroom for her purse. Snagging it off the wall, she glanced in the mirror just long enough to see that her makeup was still okay, and then headed for the front door, waving to Mrs. Salter as she passed. "Be good," Mrs. Salter said, with a happy little wave. "I will," Lexi promised. She ran out to the Mustang and climbed into the back seat. The stereo was blaring so loudly that no one could talk. Zach backed out of the parking stall and headed out of town. In no time at all, they were turning onto a long gravel driveway. At its end sat a quaint yellow Victorian with a pitched shake roof and a big white wraparound porch. Lights hung from the eaves, illuminating baskets of flowers. When they got out of the car, Lexi could hear the distant buzz of conversation and the music. But there were very few kids visible. They were probably down at the beach, where the neighbors were less likely to see them, and thus less likely to complain to the local police. Zach came around the car and stood by Lexi. She tried to act casual. As usual, she couldn't manage it. She turned slightly and caught him staring down at her. Before she could think of anything cool to say, Mia came up beside Lexi, held her hand. "Will Tyler be here?" "Probably," Zach answered. "Let's go," he said, walking off. Lexi and Mia followed him through the tall grass. When they reached the front yard, they saw the party. There were probably 75 kids in the yard. Most were gathered around the fire. The sweet smell of pot filled the air. Mia grasped Lexi's hand, yanked her to a stop. "There he is! How do I look?" Lexi scanned the crowd until she saw Tyler Marshall. He was a tall, gangly kid with skateboarder hair who wore his baggy pants so low on his hips he was constantly yanking them up. Mia had had a crush on him since the end of junior year. "You are beautiful. Go talk to him," Lexi said. Mia's cheeks turned bright red. "I can't." "I'll go with you," Lexi said, squeezing Mia's hand. "You too, Zach Attack?" Mia said. Zach shrugged, and the three of them walked deeper into the party. They made their way past a pair of silver kegs and walked up to Tyler. "Hey, Mia," Tyler said, giving her a bright grin. He held out a half-empty bottle, raspberry vodka. Mia reached for the bottle and took a drink before Lexi could even react. "I guess that makes me the designated driver," Zach said. Then he added, "Be careful, Mia." "You want to walk on the beach?" Tyler asked Mia. Mia gave Lexi a wow look and followed Tyler toward the beach. Lexi was acutely aware of Zach beside her. He stood there, saying nothing, and yet she felt something in the quiet between them. Unable to help herself, she turned and looked up at him. "Why don't you like me?" "Is that what you think?" She didn't know how to answer. There seemed to be something going on she didn't understand. She wished she had never asked the stupid question in the first place. "Lexi," he started. Amanda Martin appeared in front of them as if by magic, holding a half-empty pint of Captain Morgan spiced rum. She was a leggy redhead with full lips and eyes that slanted gypsy-like. Zach's latest girlfriend. "There you are," she purred. "Took you long enough." She wrapped her arms around him and melted against him. Lexi watched them walk away, all tangled together. He was kissing Amanda now, and felt a familiar sense of disappointment. Sighing, she wandered down to the beach. There, she met up with some of the kids from the drama club. For years, Lexi had been hanging out with these kids, watching them all rehearse with Mia. They sat around on the sand, talking. Of course, college came up. It was the big topic these days. From the very start of senior year, they've been talking about deadlines and applications and admission stats. Every day, another university representative was in the library talking to any senior who was interested. Weekend campus visits were becoming the norm, and the students from Pine Island didn't just go to downtown Seattle to check out schools. Oh no, their parents flew them all over the country. "Lexter!" Mia's voice rose above the noise. Lexi turned and saw Mia lurching toward her. "I don't know how I got this drunk," Mia said, swaying dangerously. "Lexi, how did I get this drunk?" "Drinking, maybe?" Lexi got up and put a steadying arm around Mia. "I love you, Lexi," Mia whispered, but it was a drunk's whisper, stagey and slurred. She put an arm around Lexi. "You and Zach Attack are my best friends." "I'm your best friend, too." Mia slumped to a sit on the cold sand. When Lexi joined her, they leaned together. "Tyler said I'm pretty. Do you think he means it?" "He'd be a fool not to." "We danced," Mia said, her voice dreamy. She swayed for a moment and then went still. "I can't feel my lips. Are my lips still there?" Lexi burst out laughing. "I think we'd better get you home. Let's go find Zach." Lexi helped Mia to her feet and led her friend through the crowd. They found Zach in the shadows by the side of the house. Amanda was throwing herself at him. At least Lexi thought she was.
"Zach," Lexi dared, "Mia's not in good shape. I think she needs to go home." At that, Mia doubled over and vomited into the grass. Zach rushed to Mia's side. "Are you okay?" he asked, putting an arm around her. Mia swayed unsteadily, wiping her mouth. "I don't feel so good." "Amanda," Zach said, "can she stay at your house? I can't bring her home like this." "As if," Amanda said, making a sour face. "I'm not leaving the party this early. It's barely midnight." She gave Zach a long kiss and then walked away, flipping her hair as she headed back toward the keg. "Mia can spend the night at my house," Lexi said. "Eva will be asleep by now." Zach looked at her. "Really?" "Sure." Zach guided Mia back to the Mustang and put her in the back seat. It was like trying to make cooked spaghetti stand, and by the time he was finished, Mia was laughing uproariously and spread out across the seat. Snapping her seatbelt in place took forever. Lexi got into the passenger seat while Zach started the engine. He backed up slowly and drove out to the main road. As they sped down the highway toward the bridge, his fingers tapped out a rhythm on the leather-covered steering wheel. The music coming through the stereo was unfamiliar to Lexi, but its beat was strangely addictive. Mia was humming in the back seat, out of tune as usual. At the trailer, Lexi got out of the car, and Mia was right behind her, stumbling out, laughing as she fell to her knees in the damp grass. "Let's go to our hill," she said, staggering back to her feet. Zach rushed to his sister's side, held her up. "Hey, Mia," he said gently, "maybe you should go to bed." Mia smiled drunkenly. "Yeah, that would be good." Zach looked at Lexi. "I'll wait until she's in bed to leave, okay?" "You don't have to do that. I know you want to get back to Amanda." "You have no idea what I want." Stung, Lexi went to Mia, took her from Zach. "Let's go, Mia." She guided her best friend across the damp grass and up into the mobile home.
In the living room, Mia collapsed to the floor, giggling and moaning. "Shh," Lexi said. "I'll just sleep for a sec." Lexi left Mia on the carpeted floor for a minute and went back outside. From the porch, she stared at Zach. Slowly, she moved toward him. He was looking at her now, watching her even, and his attention made something in the pit of her stomach flutter. "She's fine," she said. "What's your hill?" he said. "Mia and I hang out there. It's nothing." "Can I see it?" "I guess." Lexi was aware of his footsteps cracking on twigs and branches as they pushed their way through the heavy salal and brush. The path was so thin you could only find it if you knew where it was. When she emerged into the open again, it was onto a high bluff of untended land that overlooked a busy strip of the highway, the glittering casino, and the black sound beyond. "I come out here all the time," she said. "It's cool." Zach sat down on the soft ground. Lexi reluctantly sat beside him. They were so close she could feel his leg against hers. She waited for him to say something, but he didn't. Silence, stretched out, turned uncomfortable. "So, you guys are checking out colleges next weekend? That's cool," Lexi finally said. It was all she could think of. He shrugged. "Whatever." "You don't sound very excited about it." "Mia says she'll die if we don't go to USC together. Don't get me wrong, I want to go to school with her too, and I want to be a doctor like the old man, but..." He looked out over the casino and sighed. "But what?" He turned to her, caught her looking at him. "What if I can't cut it?" he said so quietly she barely heard his voice above the distant drone of highway noise. She had known Zach for more than 3 years now, adoring him from a distance. She'd studied him like an archaeologist, culling through his words for hidden meaning. And never had he said anything like this to her. He sounded vulnerable and confused. The night seemed to fall quiet. The buzz of the cars faded. All Lexi could hear was the beating of her heart and the even strains of their breathing. She was reminded of all the times she'd waited for her mother's return, only to be disappointed, discarded. If there was one emotion she understood profoundly, it was uncertainty. Never in her wildest dreams had she imagined that Zach could feel the same way. It made her feel connected to him, in tune. For one split second, he wasn't Mia's brother. He was the boy she'd seen on that first day of school, the one who'd made her heart speed up. "I didn't think you were ever afraid." "Oh, I'm afraid of something." He leaned the slightest bit toward her. Maybe he was just shifting his seat on the hard dirt. She didn't know. She just knew how it felt to be afraid, and the way he was looking at her made it hard to breathe. Without really thinking, just feeling, she leaned toward him for a kiss. She was just about to close her eyes when he jerked back. "What are you doing?" The magnitude of what she'd almost done knocked the breath from her. He didn't even like her, and worse than that, he wasn't available for her. Jude had made that clear, so had Mia. And Mia was what mattered, not some useless, baseless crush on a boy who fell in love with a different girl every week. Horrified, she mumbled an apology, got to her feet, and started running through the brambles and bushes for the relative safety of her mobile home. "Lexi, wait!" She ran into the mobile home and slammed the door shut behind her. Mia lay at her feet, singing a song from The Little Mermaid. Lexi stepped over her best friend and peeked out from between the curtains. Zach stood there a long time, staring at the closed door. Then he finally went back to his car and started it up. It wasn't until Lexi had brushed her teeth and put on her pajamas and crawled into bed with Mia that she let herself really think about what she'd almost done. "You're an idiot, Lexi Baill," she said into the quiet. "No, you're not," Mia said. Then she started to snore. The next morning, Lexi stood at her bedroom window, staring out at the falling rain, feeling sick to her stomach. She couldn't believe that she'd almost kissed Zach last night. What an idiot. What should she do now? Tell Mia the truth, throw herself on her best friend's mercy, and apologize for a moment of lunacy? But what if it ruined everything, and Zach would never tell? Or would he? Did he hate Lexi that much? "I feel like crap." Lexi heard the mattress creak against the wood-slatted bed frame. There was a pinging sound as Mia maneuvered to a sit. Lexi turned slowly around, feeling a fresh wave of shame. Mia pushed the tangled blonde hair out of her eyes, which were a little dazed-looking, unfocused. A red scratch marred one pale cheek. Lexi had no idea how Mia had gotten the injury. No doubt Mia didn't either. "Man," she said, "I got roasted last night." "You did." Lexi went back to the bed and climbed in beside her best friend. She leaned against her. "Thanks for taking care of me. I swear, I didn't drink that much." She banged her head back against the wall. "God, I hope my mom doesn't hear about this." She couldn't take it. The truth was corroding her from the inside out. She had to be a good friend to Mia. She had to be. "Speaking of last night, I did a really Mia sat up suddenly. "Tyler asked me to the homecoming dance." Lexi stopped. "What?" She and Mia usually hung out together on dance nights. Neither one of them had been asked to any of the dances last year. She felt vaguely jealous that this time she'd be sitting out the dance while Mia was having fun. "You can come with us. Really, it'd be a blast. We could triple date with Amanda and Zach." No. "And about Zach?" "What about him?" Mia kicked back the covers and got out of bed. She stood there, a little unsteady on her feet, looking around the room for her pants. "They are in the dryer. You puked on them last night." "Gross." Mia padded out of the bedroom and headed down the hallway. The trailer shuddered at the weight of her steps. Lexi followed Mia, stood in the hall while her friend slipped back into her jeans. She was about to bring up Zach again when Eva came out of her bedroom. "Hey, Eva," Mia said with an obviously forced smile. "Thanks for letting me spend the night last night." Eva said, "You're always welcome. Did you have fun last night?" Mia smiled again, but it was ragged. Her skin was a little gray. "We did. It was great." She put an arm around Lexi. "I don't know what I'd do without Lexi. She's the best friend ever." Outside, a car horn honked. "That'll be my mom," Mia said. "She texted me last night. We're going to visit my grandmother today. I better go." Lexi followed Mia to the front door. In her mind, she blurted out her secret several times, and they laughed about it. In truth, she said nothing, just stared at Mia's long blonde hair. At the front door, Mia hugged her fiercely. "Thanks, Lexi. I mean it." She drew back, looking a little uncertain. "I'm sorry, I shouldn't have lost it like that. You'll come to the dance with Ty and me, right?"
Like I'm not lame enough already? Don't say that. We'll have a blast. Outside, the car horn honked again. She's so OCD, Mia said, opening the door. The white Mustang was parked out front, its engine purring, exhaust melting into the fog. Zach got out of the car and stood there, staring at Lexi over the Mustang's white roof. Rain pelted his face, made him blink. Mia flung her hoodie over her head and ran down to the car, getting in. Lexi was certain she saw Zach shake his head slightly, as if to say, "It never happened. It can't happen." Then he got back into his car. Lexi watched them drive away, then went back into the trailer, closing the door behind her. He didn't want her to tell Mia. Was that what he'd meant? Eva sat at the kitchen table, her hands cupped around her mug. "His car woke me up last night," she said, looking up. "So I went to the window. I didn't expect you to come home."
Lexi tried to imagine the scene Eva had witnessed. Lexi practically carrying Mia up the stairs. Mia collapsing on the floor, singing. "I thought we'd be staying at the Faradays." "I'm pretty sure I know why you didn't." Lexi sat down across from Eva. "I'm sorry," she said, too ashamed to make eye contact. And Eva would be disappointed in her now. Maybe she'd even wonder if Lexi was like her mother after all. "You want to talk about it?" "I didn't drink anything, if that's what you think. I saw my mom drink, so I'm—" She shrugged. There was no way to put all of that emotion into a few careful words. "I didn't drink anything." Eva reached across the table and took hold of Lexi's hands. "I'm no warden, Alexa. You wouldn't know it to look at me. But I remember what it's like to be young, and I know how the world works. A girl can get in real trouble when she's in that condition. She can make a bad decision. I would hate for you to get hurt." "I know. I know you know. And one more thing. Mia and her brother aren't like you. Those two got choices you don't. They'll get breaks you won't. You understand me?" Lexi knew that. She'd known it from the first time she walked in the Faraday house. Mia could afford to make mistakes. Lexi couldn't. "I'll be careful." "Good." Eva looked at her. "And about that boy? I seen the way he ran after you. You be careful there, too." "He doesn't like me. You don't have to worry about that." Eva studied her carefully. Lexi wondered what she saw. "You just be careful around him.